Anti-Afro Svengalis, I am going to be addressing the main topic. Before I do so, I encourage you to check out the community wall. It gives an update on our plan of action regarding Monty Woodgrain, who is extremely remote in his thinking. If he ever thought he can do what he is trying to do to us without us responding and making sure that our rights are protected. So go and check out what we have planned for Monty Woodgrain. Unlike Monty Woodgrain, everything we do is 100% legal. So let's move on to what's going on. Okay, so if we look at the screen here, what exactly is going on here? Yes, somebody needs to send Monty Woodgrain back scratchers that are objects. Back scratchers that you can buy in the store, back scratchers that don't talk, back scratchers that are in non human form, back scratchers that are over the age of 18 if they're going to be in human form. That's what Monty Woodgrain needs to do. Oh my goodness, what are you talking about, anti-Afro Svengalis? Listen, and literally listen. And what you're going to hear, you're going to hear me come back in as stand in, and you're going to know what's happening. I have to stand in on some of these responses because it wouldn't be the right thing to do to play this video straight away. But you're going to get what I'm talking about. Stay tuned and I will return.
Folks, what's going on? I'm starting a new series called Daddy and it's going to be short videos of this stuff that me and her's doing, our daily life, things of that nature. So far, we just got in the house, and she convinced me to go to Toys R Us. Now, tell the people, why did we go to Toys R Us this time?
Okay, so the answer as stand-in is to get me a toy.
Now, how did you earn that toy?
From giving him a back scratch.
So that's the deal. See, before, when she was a little bit younger, I can get away with getting a back scratch at night. Now, she says, Daddy, if you want a back scratch, I have to get a what?
The answer? A toy.
So, let's just say this girl got a bunch of toys to keep them good back scratches going, right?
The response here is, uh-huh.
Your daddy love his back scratches, right?
And the answer is yes. Now, this video definitely is not for kids. So you're going to be given a little bit of time to make sure children are not around. Obviously, if a parent chooses to make their own decision about including their child in listening, that is your decision. But I'm giving you the fair warning. The language I'm going to use is not for children. And people, we're not done with the madness on videos. So don't go anywhere. I don't even know if you want to compare the two. Maybe you should even try to compare, but I'm going to bring you something else that's just, it leaves you speechless. If you're decent, if you have a shred of decency, you will possibly be left, at least partially speechless. The behavior that we are objecting to and we are unwilling to accept, we will not be accepting, has been going on for quite a while. We are not asking any questions as to why is he, we don't care about the whys. All we know is that we're not going to accept it under no circumstances. He knows exactly what he is doing. One of the things that he's doing, he's trying his hardest to disarm people. It is really, if you think about it, just try to imagine this. If you bring a minor to a strip club, why can't you do that? It's against the law. It's not appropriate, right? To take a minor. The place is going to be fined or shut down. And surely there will be arrests, as there should be, because there are certain things that minors should not be exposed to. And Monty's channel is full of garbage that minors shouldn't be exposed to. So what does it represent that he's going to bring a minor onto that channel where all that garbage is to try to stop people from registering complaints about him. He's trying to disarm people and lie to people and represent himself as something that he isn't. Well, let's make it clear. Somebody donated sperm and created a child. Because let me tell you this. This is one myth about mothers and fathers. It represents that biology function. Nothing else beyond that is automatic. And if that example isn't driven home with Monty Woodgrain, I don't know who else it's not driven home with. Biology functioned. Who in the hell is going to get on YouTube and do the things that Monty Woodgrain does and then bring a minor child and try to present himself as Mr. Family Man in the midst of all this crap because he wants people to not complain about him? That is not working with me. He's trying to pull the good dad card. When you try to pull a card, we know that's full of shit. That the argument is flawed. It doesn't work. So people can pass judgment all day long about what I'm saying. Fine. You're not going to tell me this is a decent, responsible parent when you get up on YouTube and sexually bully, sexually harass, threaten people with violence, especially people who haven't even said anything to him. And again, we are not his only targets. This is persistent. This is not isolated. And you bring a kid into the mix as if that's going to make it all better and talk about what you do as a father. That makes the situation worse. It gets people wondering what the hell is going on, people. It gets me wondering what the hell is going on. How in the hell can you separate the two? You can't separate the two. Either you're responsible, decent, and respectable, or you are not. And we're factoring out mistakes. This is not a mistake, people. This is prolonged, habitual, obsessive conduct where other people are brought in who don't want to be involved. Let me tell you something about Monty, what he did. I remember when I was on a channel, I was participating on a channel. I'm not going to say the name so we don't get a distraction going here. You know what Monty would do? At first, he would come over to the channel. He would participate. He would leave a couple of messages. But then he was really big on getting on the panels. He wanted to talk. And he started bringing up these sexual issues. Hello, we're not talking about sex. This is not a sexual discussion. There is nothing wrong with sex, but it's not appropriate if we're talking about baking cakes. And I'm just making up a topic. And he wants to talk about screwing and swipe and cum and wants to make every comment about that. So he recognized people were getting irritated. So guess what he started doing? He started coming on with another name. Like he would be in the queue, but he wouldn't say Monty Woodgrain. He would have another avatar. And as soon as the person would let him on, he would come on. And the first thing he would say was something vulgar. And we're talking about, again, baking cakes. And I'm just making up a topic. This conduct is abnormal, people. There were several people who sent me messages, asked me if I would address this with the host. And I stated, I have addressed this with the host, and I would encourage you to address it. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to cause any trouble because I don't want Monty to think I was complaining about him. I'm saying it's not about him. You need to address it with the host and let the host know. People didn't want to go to the host because they didn't want to be in a position if the host brought it up. Oh my God, I might be talked about. He might target me if they realize there's complaints. So I appeal to the host. Can you disallow this person? I mean, it was so odd what this person was doing. We're having a great time laughing, enjoying ourselves. And this person comes on with these vulgar sexual, it made no sense. So the person eventually banned him from coming onto the platform because that's all he would do. Would just come on with these sexual comments. If you keep doing something over and over, you have no regard for how it impacts other people. You're picking out people who aren't even talking about you and force inserting their name into your sexual vulgarity, your bullying, your sexual harassment, your threats of violence. You're putting this all together. This is a very dangerous mix, and people have a right not to be included in that. Monty Woodgrain does not have a right to do what he is doing. What he is doing is not only against the law, it violates YouTube policy. But just like YouTube is a very large community, just like the world is, just like the United States is, there are far too many people posting videos and acting inappropriate than there are people who work for YouTube and Google to monitor it. The system relies on people like us to alert the powers that be, that this is going on. And he does not have a right to free speech. He does not have a right to impose his will on other people. We said nothing about Monty. Monty brought our names up. And then he starts complaining that we're harassing him. No, he brought our names up and he was vulgar. He didn't just bring our names up, he beelined for these categories you see here: the sexual bullying, the sexual harassment, the harmful content. Look at this. This is exactly what he was doing. And he thinks he has a right. You don't have a right. You don't even have a right to fire those weapons. That is a conditional right. And I don't think anybody that runs around speaking and acting the way Monty Woodgrain does should have weapons. That privilege, that right, should be heavily scrutinized and reevaluated, because he is persistently threatening people with violence. You should not be allowed to be carrying weapons, threatening people, and engaging in all this sexual harassment and sexual bullying. And there's another person here on YouTube that always talking about guns and at the same time sexually harassing people, lying on people, bullying people, threatening people, people who haven't said anything about this person. And just so we're on the record, to be very clear, people deciding to respond to years of harassment is not bullying, is not doxing, is not sexual harassing. They love to try to accuse us of harassing them when we are simply responding to all of these lies that they have conjured up about us and have been harassing us for years. And let me tell you, perhaps one of the most offensive things that I heard in these clips was Monty Woodgrain continuing to cite the Yasa restaurant situation. And he's even bringing up Umar Johnson, implying, or stating rather, that we are harassing Umar Johnson. So he uses this as a justification to engage in sexual bullying, sexual harassment, and threats of violence. That sounds like the person who threatened to kill the woman who accused Kobe Bryant of rape. The person was prosecuted. Who the hell is Monty Woodgrain? A co-conspirator or a co-conspirator of Umar Johnson? Saying that we're harassing Umar Johnson? We don't owe any explanation to Monty Woodgrain for anything. And furthermore, him leveling accusations against people of which he has no idea what he's talking about further exacerbates, which is essentially a crime. People who do or who are suspected of contacting a government agency and reporting potential wrongdoing of an entity that is under government control, it is a crime to make threats towards people you believe made a report. Umar Johnson is engaging in fraudulent activity. He uses this as a justification to engage in sexual bullying, sexual harassment, and threats of violence. That sounds like the person who threatened to kill the woman who accused Kobe Bryant of rape. The person was prosecuted. Who the hell is Monty Woodgrain? A co-conspirator or a co-conspirator of Umar Johnson, saying that we're harassing Umar Johnson. We don't owe any explanation to Monty Woodgrain for anything. And furthermore, him leveling accusations against people of which he has no idea what he's talking about further exacerbates, which is essentially a crime. People who do or who are suspected of contacting a government agency and reporting potential wrongdoing of an entity that is under government control, it is a crime to make threats towards people you believe made a report. Umar Johnson is engaging in fraudulent activity. Umar Johnson has been issued a cease and desist order from the government. Yet Monty Woodgrain thinks he has a right to harass people who continue to insist that Umar Johnson be held accountable. Why doesn't he threaten the agency that issued Umar Johnson the cease and desist letter or the cease and desist order? Because it is an order, because it is indeed an order issued by a government entity. The desperation of people to get noticed and recognized, it's really off the scale. Bottom line, nothing that Monty Woodgrain did is legal. It's not sanctioned. It's against policy. It will not be tolerated. And to come on here and try to use his position as a father, and I put that in quotations, as a means of trying to back people off to try to what? Make people forget the crap that he's doing? Who in the hell is going to forget stuff like calling a mother and telling her son is hanging in the closet? Oh, the people, it goes on forever. On and off YouTube. The mess that Monty Woodgrain has engaged in, he has a nerve to bring our name up and turn around and try to characterize himself as a victim. Now, listen, I'm running a little long on this video, so what I'm going to do for the other video, I'm going to make this part 2 and post these videos at the same time. So be sure you do not ever forget to heed the warning. Buyer beware.